Hey everybody, Buff Nerd Gaming here, and we're here to cover some of the latest Battlefield news. The other day, so Wednesday, May 16th, DICE and EA gave us a little bit of reveal for the next Battlefield game, officially titled Battlefield V. Now, lots of speculation has been running around for months now about what the next title is going to be and what time period it's going to be set in. We still don't know the answer to the time period or any gameplay details besides the title, and they mentioned in a blog post on Battlefield.com some minor bits of information about game modes such as operations returning, etc. But in this video I want to speculate the time period of the Battlefield V. Now, an official tweet today, which is Thursday, May 17th, from a DICE developer, someone asked, what does the V stand for? And this DICE developer replied, Battlefield V for 5, okay? So he spelled out 5, F-I-V-E, 5. So this is officially Battlefield 5. Now, what concerns me is the fact that they're using Roman numerals with the V here instead of the official 5 numbering system that we would see with Battlefield 2, 3, 4, and then 5 being a continuation of that. So, what does the V mean? A lot of people are speculating V for victory, etc., but that tweet by the DICE developer throws that right out the window. We know it isn't V for victory, it's V for 5. But I'm a little hesitant to say that this is going to be a continuation from 4, putting it in a modern time period. Now let's look at why I believe it's not a World War II setting. I repeat, not World War II setting. This is the number one speculation everybody's been running with for months now, that this is World War II. It makes the most logical sense to continue from World War I with Battlefield 1 and come back into World War II. And the reason being is it makes sense chronologically, yes. As far as the gameplay in Battlefield 1 felt more like World War II, and you have a lot of the same weapons that they can port over, a lot of the same character models, make changes. There's not a lot of work that needs to go into a World War II game to redesign everything. Now, the reason, and that's true, so I agree with that, but the reason I say it's not World War II is that Call of Duty just did World War II last year. Now, in my opinion, in many opinion, they did a shitty job of World War II, but again, nonetheless, they did World War II, and they are Battlefield's number one competitor. So, if Battlefield V happens to be a World War II game, people are going to say, well, Call of Duty did that time period last year. Why would I pick that up? They're copying Call of Duty. Now, of course, it's not what everybody's going to say, but that's going to be what some people are going to say, and it's going to be a reputation. Now, that's also going to take away from sales. As Call of Duty did it last year, you're still losing minor sales, but you're going to lose sales from that because COD did it last year. Now, on top of that, you have two amazing-looking World War II games being Postscriptum and Hell Let Loose. Now, both of those look phenomenal. They're in beta stages right now and alpha stages, and they're to be released this year as well. So, I can't see EA from a financial standpoint saying, okay, let's release World War II this year and risk going into an oversaturated market currently this year with World War II, and that could negatively affect sales. Now, granted, obviously it would still make huge sales, but you're possibly losing sales there, and you're entering into a field where there's Battlefield World War II would be the third World War II game this year, and your number one competitor being Activision's Call of Duty just did it last year. So, in my mind, it doesn't make sense. World War II is oversaturated right now. I think what we're going to see here, I would say Battlefield V obviously isn't Vietnam. So, again, they confirmed it's 5. V for 5, Roman numeral. But the reason I don't think it's Vietnam, Vietnam is very popular. They did that with their second Battlefield game after 1942 was Vietnam, and then there was, of course, the Bad Company 2 expansion, Battlefield Bad Company 2 Vietnam. So I think the last time we saw a Vietnam game was 2010, 2011, when Bad Company 2 Vietnam expansion came out. Obviously, it's very popular, but again, it's not high on the radar with many fans, and you're in one setting there, being the jungle. I don't see it as a viable option for the big reveal for 2018 being back to Vietnam. So I'd say no for that. A lot of people are speculating Korea. Again, That's very possible, but I believe Korea is so close to World War II. Korea was in the early 1950s, 52 or 53, I believe the war started. You had all the same tech from World War II. So while that's a viable option, I think it's unlikely because there was huge risks taken with Battlefield 1 to cover the World War I genre, right? That theater of war had never been done. And now while Korea is the same story, that's another big risk that you're not winning back that player base that played Battlefield 1 for a couple months and then went back to Battlefield 4 or back to Battlefield 3, whatever the case may be. And that's a lot of your hardcore fan base, those Battlefield veterans that have been around for a long time, and they were disappointed with the time period of World War I because you cannot relate to that time setting. You can't relate to the weapons. While it was a great game gameplay-wise for the most part, right? There was obviously some flaws, but for the most part it was good. But the setting, in 2017, 2016 at the time, you can't relate to that as a player. And if you're a more serious Battlefield player or fan of the franchise and just not the casual gamer, that's not really something you can hang with for a long time. I myself played it for about 3 months and then went back to Battlefield 4, which is still a great game. So that's why I don't think it's going to be Korea, is because it's, again, a huge risk and I'm not sure what the payoff is there. So now what are the other options here? Could it be modern day? Could it be V for 5 be continuing modern? Absolutely. I think that's the number, probably right up there with World War II, is a very high likelihood of that happening. Now, even though I don't believe it's World War II, it's still very possible. But Battlefield 5 being modern, that's what I want to see. I want to see Battlefield 4 done right with Battlefield 5, a great launch, a lot more customization. You can have the same time setting, maybe even slightly in the future, minus a lot of those gadgets. I think there's just limitless possibilities you can do as far as vehicles. People want to see the jets, they want to see the helicopters, all the different tank variations, different helicopter variations, different jets, all of that. There's limitless possibilities there. And then when you bring in this loot crate system, right, that's where all your cosmetic changes come in. You can have different outfits, different character models, different skins, all sorts of customization with regular content drops that people will either pay for or grind out to get, right? And so that's where I think they may make their money after DLC. But that's another discussion. I'll make another video on that. So I believe it's most likely going to be modern is what I'm hoping for. Honestly, it's about 50-50 between another Modern Warfare game with Battlefield 5 or it possibly being World War II. So that's still up in the air. We'll find out next Wednesday, the 23rd. The other option here that I'm thinking possibly it could be, they mentioned in the blog post something about battles throughout multiple theaters of war, right? So that's why a lot of people are saying, well, World War II was in multiple theaters of war, right? We could be possibly doing, there were rumors and leaks earlier in the year about an alternate Cold War era setting. And so this would obviously not follow real life events that took place with the Cold War. I would like to see, and it could be, this is the direction that they're going, is something where the Soviet Union didn't fall in the early 90s there, right? And they kept going. Or if you look at something like World in Conflict, it's an RPG game for the PC. That's a great storyline that I've always wanted to see ported over into an FPS, and Battlefield would do it amazingly. So what that is basically the Soviet Union in 1990, 91 there, right when they were on the verge of collapse, decided to invade the U.S., and because the finances were crashing, their resources were running out, so they invade the U.S., and you have just all-out warfare on American soil, and then did an expansion for being in Russia there. So that's multiple theaters of war. It could be an alternate Cold War type game where perhaps spanning from the 70s right through the 90s, and that would bring us right up to a modern era-ish, right? And so you'd be able to play from Vietnam type tech up to the 90s, say the Gulf War era there. That period in that theater of war, we'd have weapons such as, and the M4 was around, I believe, mid 90s, but early 90s you had the Car 15, right? So if they're worried about naming rights, then that's another option there, because the Car 15, those types of guns are out of service. M16 obviously still is, but they can still get those rights. So could it be an alternate Cold War game? I believe those are the three possibilities: or World War II, modern setting again, or an alternate Cold War setting, which would span from the 70s to possibly the 90s, and maybe the multiplayer would be based in a modernish setting. I want to see modern warfare. The last one we got was 2013 with Battlefield 4. That launch was horrendous, but the game is stabilized. I still play it. Many people still play it on all systems. So to see that done right, I think would be a logical step here with this next game after we went completely, a 180 with Battlefield 1 and World War 1, and Hardline just doesn't even count, so we won't even count that. So we've really had one Battlefield game since 2013, and that's not what anybody expected. So I want to see, Battlefield V for 5 was confirmed by DICE developer that it is 5, so I want to see that in a modern setting. I want to see that continued from Battlefield 4. I think that's what we're going to get. So I want to know what you guys think. I'll keep you up to date as we get closer to the May 23rd live stream, and we'll find out then. So until then, Buff Nerd Gaming, thank you very much for watching. If you like the content, I'm trying to roll out more, just starting up the channel. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, and we'll keep it coming. I have boatloads of gameplay that I need to upload. So thanks for the support, guys. Leave your comments down below, and until next time, take care. Bye.